Welcome. I am Fernanda Paiva Hitchhiking Stars, and this is Transits Fridays. So it's the day that we're going to be talking about the transits for the week and how can you use these transits constructively. So basically what we're talking about here is this huge shift that's happening this weekend. So we have a grand cross that we're definitely going to touch on, and we're going to be talking about Venus turning retrograde. So we've been saying, and people have been talking about Venus retrograde a lot. Well, it's happening, and it's happening this weekend. So we're definitely going to have a look at that. And a couple of other minor sort of transits in our awareness, I guess, in our lives, reflected in situations there. And how can we use this? How can we use this to our benefit? And even if it's just raising awareness, you know, I mean, we're having a Mars-Saturn opposition, which is still within orb. And what can we do with these transit other than sit with the frustrations and learn about patience? I think this is one of the great things that we can do with a Mars-Saturn transit, right? So let's have a look at the chart with the transits. And please, as usual, let me know in the comments, what has this week been? What's happened for you? How, you know, are things going? Have you noticed this Saturn opposition Mars? Because look, even today, we got Mars as 6 Virgo and Saturn as 6 Pisces. So these opposition is still very, very much under the spotlight. And with a lot of the friends I spoke to, excuse me, there's a lot of frustration connected with these transits. Like, things are not moving fast enough. At least that's how we feel, right? When we have a Mars Saturn, is like Mars representing what we really want, and Saturn saying, no, you can't have it, not yet, or it's not going to go your way, or, you know, there are lots of tests. And today, especially, I think because the moon is in Virgo as well, and is activating that Mars Saturn opposition, we're bound to be experiencing these energy again a little bit stronger. And I was reflecting a lot on this week, and I was thinking, you know, there's certain things like we don't just overcome. I mean, personal view here, okay? Personal view as an astrologer. I don't think you overcome anything in your chart as if you can just transcend your Mars, Uranus, or your moon, Pluto, or anything like that. But I really feel that we learn to become acquainted with certain parts of ourselves, and it's the same with these transits. You know, when we have a Mars Saturn, if we know about it, we can sit with it, we can sit and work through it rather than work around it and try to run away or try to take action in an impulsive way. So there's something about sitting with frustration that Mars Saturn is teaching us here, or is giving us an opportunity to learn, you know, which in my view is the most constructive way that we can use these, you know, this transit. We can try and punch the wall, we can try and run over, you know, an authority figure or something, or force a way through something. But we know that if the time isn't right, things just don't go our way, right? No matter what we do. And I'm sure you've experienced this as well. I'm sure I have. And especially as the Mars Uranus in the first, you know, being very impatient, and especially, you know, as a younger person in the past, I certainly have experienced that. So this is what constructive astrology is about, is using this to your favor, trying to find and brainstorm positive ways of using these configurations, because it's about becoming acquainted with these flavors, becoming friends with it, you know, like respecting their presence, respecting what they're about. So anyhow, this is the energy of Mars Saturn that's still happening today, and it will be underlying next week as well until next Friday. So sit with that if you can. Now, when it comes to the weekend, boom, we've got Saturday, 22nd of July. Here we have the Grand Cross. And honestly, from today, from Friday, is already kind of happening, because the sun is already at 28 degrees Cancer. And tomorrow we have 29 degrees, an exact opposition between Sun and Pluto, and a square with the lunar nodes as well. So all 29 degrees cardinal signs. So if you have anything at 29 degrees cardinal, 28 degrees cardinal, even 27, And to a certain degree, 0 degrees of the fixed signs as well, Scorpio, Aquarius, Taurus, and Leo. This Grand Cross is very personal, or very personally picking up on your chart. So you might feel these energies even more as an emergency, you know, than the others that don't really have those degrees in their natal chart. So, and also that means that your Pluto transit will be like activated like very strongly this weekend. So if you're having a Pluto transit, look, 29 Capricorn, if you have a Sun at 29, at 29 Cancer, or 28 Cancer, or, you know, Mars or Venus or anything there, then these Grand Cross will definitely be very powerful for you personally. And you might be observing something really strongly in your life, really urgent in your life. I feel that this is the benefit. Again, this is the benefit with astrology. This ability that we have, that we can have, to see and interpret, to find meaning in situations, to realize that some situations are there and they're connected with a certain thread of a lesson, of something that we're learning, that we're growing with. So we can deal with it in a better way, I guess. You know, it's like the Saturn-Mars. We can sort of sit with the frustration, you know, the art of no action. So this Grand Cross here has a kind of a very karmic flavor as well, because we've got the lunar nodes involved. And whenever the lunar nodes are there, we know that there's something about the past and past lives and tendencies that we're sort of learning how to balance, you know, the south and the north. I've done a whole video about the North Node in Aries, and you can watch it after if you feel, and that will give more information about what these North Node in Aries will be teaching us for the next almost 2 years, you know, the next year and a half. But yeah, I mean, it could be power struggles, you know, Sun Pluto opposition, power struggles, manipulative tactics to feel secure as well. You know, I think about Cancer and Capricorn. What they have in common is the need, or the search for security. You know, we've got emotional security with Cancer, and we've got the sort of material security with Capricorn as well. So these could be there in the spotlight. But excuse me, it's very important that you find where this is falling in your chart. You know, I'm always talking about bring it to the most personal that you can. Find where this is in your chart, what planets is picking up in your chart, because this is definitely going to be giving you more clues about how to work with it, but also about where this is going to be, you know, what kind of houses, what kind of flavors, more personally speaking. Is it going to be about your neighbors? Is it going to be a conflict in your family? Is about your career and, you know, your relationships? There is a big stretch. I think when there is a Grand Cross, there's a big stretch. There's a sense of like, we need to grow right now. It's like there's a sense of urgency as well with the Grand Cross. It's like being tied to 4 different horses, you know, and having our limbs sort of pulled and being stretched out of our comfort zones as well, potentially, with this Grand Cross. So that's definitely very relevant. And when we move on to Sunday, boom, again, like that's another huge shift, really important, is Venus going retrograde in Leo. So Venus at 28 degrees, turning retrograde. Again, I've done a whole video about Venus. What are Venus majors, you know, themes, flavors? What can we think about when we think about Venus? Is it about relationships? All sorts of like ideas within the big blob of relationships, and the big blob of values as well, and a big blob of self-worth. You know, there's so many different things that we can think of, and different nuances as well of like where we can go with this Venus retrograde. But for sure, I mean, the Venus retrograde here is about reviewing values, reviewing everything that has to do with Venus. And again, place that in your chart. Find out what Venus does in your chart and what's your relationship with Venus as well, because these transit will be here until the 3rd of September. And we're going to be having, and Venus will be in Leo until October because of this sort of retrogradation there. So it'll take longer to move on to the next sign. So we're definitely going to be having an opportunity to review, reestablish a connection with Venus, right? Reintegrate Venus in your life. what is your relationship with Venus? How well do you express Venus in your life? How comfortable are you enjoying your life? What brings you enjoyment? What brings you happiness? That's Venus. How do you take that happiness? How good are you at accepting happiness or accepting gifts, accepting compliments, all of that? How how much are you looking after yourself? Do you feel beautiful? Do you not feel beautiful? Why is that? Is that anything that you can do to renew that relationship? I'm wearing red lipstick. Just the video that we're talking about Venus going retrograde. So I've been sharing with you a lot about my journey with personal branding and the sense of authenticity and trying to create a business, and how difficult this is when you have so many like cookie cutters of like, oh, do this and you do a 6-figure business and whatever. And when I found that personality is currency, and being yourself is currency, because the internet and everything is so flooded with so many options and so many astrologers and so many therapists and so many of everything, that being yourself, and even AI writing content and voiceovers that are AI and all of that, is becoming clearer and clearer that personality is currency. That's Leo. All right, that's Leo for you. That's the other side of a Pluto traveling in Aquarius as well for the next few years. Then we're sort of back and forth now with Pluto in Capricorn and Aquarius, but that's the other side of the coin there, and so for me, this Venus in Leo talks a lot about that as well. Personality is currency, individuality is currency. If you've been struggling with your business as well, with your work, with your logo, like what is your logo, like what are your colors, what are you about, what are your values that you want to share, that you want your clients to know as well, find out what are they. And so this Venus will be all about that. Will be all sorts of opportunities. And on Monday, there is a video coming out. It's already ready. It's already scheduled, about Venus placed in the houses based on the ascendant. So you can go a little deeper into these transit of Venus for yourself. But it's really important that you look at your natal Venus. Where is it? How being expressing it? Because you're going to be looking at that again for this whole period. And on the day that Venus turns retrograde, we have the beginning of Leo season, so Sun in Leo. And again, for me, the beginning of Leo season with Venus turning retrograde on the same day, so Venus will be ruled by that Sun, because Leo is ruled by the Sun. So for me, it's just a kind of a reaffirmation of sort of that is being said again, that is about authenticity, is about becoming yourself, being yourself, shining your light. Where do you shine your light best? Where is, you feel optimistic and passionate about the process as well? Venus is very passionate. I mean, not Venus, Leo. Leo is very passionate. It's about fun as well. It's a fun loving sign. So where do you have fun? How do you have fun? What are the activities that you put your heart into? That's the Leo. And so Leo season starting on the same day, I think is very promising, and is like a kind of a double whammy of this Venus retrograde, really giving us the opportunity, showing us things through the Leo lens. Where is Leo in your chart? Again, my video part 1 that I released this Monday, was all about Venus, and then there is a moment I'm talking about Leo as well, and how to make this mix of Venus and Leo. But Leo season starts on Sunday as well. And we also have a Mercury Uranus square. So Mercury at 21 Leo square Uranus. I think there are like subtle or not so subtle surprises, ideas, insights. I think surprising insights, about all of that, about all of these process. Leo is about feeling special for who you are. Leo at best is like having a sense of self-worth, that you've got a role here. You don't need to be anyone else. So I love that because of the whole authenticity, which is, one of my top values, really. But that Mercury square Uranus on Sunday as well is like basically Sunday will be like a bit of a bomb in terms of self-worth or becoming aware of who we are, what we want, and you know, the whole Leo kind of flavor, but also with that square from Uranus and sudden thoughts, sudden ideas, sudden, you know. And the moon will be in Libra as well on Sunday, which is ruled by that Venus. So it's all bringing us back to that powerful Sun in Leo there as well during this time. So, and obviously Mars, Saturn is still there, still happening. So let's move on. Let's move on now. Monday, what we got on Monday? We still have that Mercury, Uranus going on Monday. But I think really the weekend will give us the flavor for the week, all right? Like this weekend and what happens here, if you can ride those waves of these energies on Sunday, that would be really helpful. So another cool thing of this week, this is Tuesday, so Thursday we're gonna have Mercury Venus conjunction, and I think this is one of the you know, few conjunctions that Venus will be doing with whilst traveling retrograde. So Venus will square Uranus as well eventually, and will conjoin the Sun in Leo as well. But the first one that we'll be doing is a conjunction with Mercury. So I think by Thursday and Friday next week as well, we can kind of embrace this insight into that Venus, into our values as well. So whatever happens this Sunday, we can kind of understand it a little further by Thursday and Friday as well. Another cool aspect that will be happening, and it will be happening mainly on the following week, but is kind of beginning to form, is a trine between Mars and Jupiter. So look at that Mars in Virgo, that's being opposing that Saturn, feeling the frustration, feeling the sort of slowing down, all of that, feeling sluggish, trying to organize things, but feeling kind of pulled back somehow. Well, that Mars will be forming a trine to Jupiter as well. And this will be mainly, like I said, on the following week, but is already beginning. And I think that's a wonderful aspect to achieve things, to accomplish things. We have two earthy signs, you know, the Mars in Virgo, quite hardworking, and energy of organizing chaos, putting things into place, and, you know, doing that sort of life admin. But the Jupiter in Taurus, they're also helping with finances, you know, abundance, and doing things in that area could be really helpful. But anything to do with growth, really, you know, moving forward, moving ahead, anything connected with education as well, because we're talking about Jupiter. But there are like earthy, real achievements because it's a trine and earth element. So that's it. Very intense weekend. Don't forget that. Don't forget to drink a lot of water and look after yourself, you know, to make the most of what's happening, the shifts and the transitions. I am gonna give a little announcement as well. I'm doing a Q&A on Saturday. So the 22nd of July, tomorrow, I'm doing a Q&A with the Witches of Instagram. I'll leave the link in the comments as well if you want to have a look. It's for free, and you get a chance to actually ask me questions while I'm, you know, there in a moment. So that's happening, and that's it really. In the meantime, I wish you a wonderful week, a beautiful weekend, even if it's a bit intense, you know, sit with that intensity if you can, and that you can create the beautiful life that you want and deserve, because you deserve. And I'll be seeing you all on Monday. All right, bye bye now.